If you are a real estate agent who is tired of waking up every morning with no clue what to do to move the needle in your business, or if you're tired of always falling short of your goals, or if you just need a little more structure in your days, then this video is for you. We are talking all about the top daily, weekly, and monthly routines of top real estate agents. Stay tuned. And hey, if we haven't met yet, my name is Stefanie Lugo, and if you're looking to grow your business and have a lot of fun while you're at it, be sure to hit subscribe to this channel and hit that bell notification icon to be notified every time I'm dropping new videos each week, all about the top real estate marketing strategies and social media tips to help you grow your business. Now, these are my top tips on how to stay consistent on social media, get new clients every week, and most importantly, keep the numbers going up and to the right in my business every month. So I want to share kind of a mindset treat for you when we're talking about schedules in real estate. Obviously, real estate, we are independent contractors. We're making our own schedules, and sometimes from day to day, week to week, they're not going to look the same. So you may not have absolute control over your schedule like you might in a 9-to-5 setting, but here's what you do have control over. You have control over your routines. Now, that is the real factor of success in top agents, is they may not have absolute concrete schedules every single day, but they do stick to powerful routines that help them stay on top of the work that they know they need to be doing. So the question is, how do we build out the right routines for our business and make sure that we're focusing the right amount of time on the right activities? Well, I don't know if you've heard this story, but there is a Proverbs that I love to follow, which is the rocks, the pebbles, and the sand. So basically, a theoretic professor goes up in front of his class and he holds a jar and he says, "Is this jar empty?" And the class says, "Yes, it is." He fills up the jar, the glass jar, with rocks and fills it all the way up to the top. And he asks the class, "Is this full now?" And they say, "Yeah, it looks full to us." Well, the professor then says, "Just a minute." He fills all the little spaces in between the rocks with pebbles. And he then asks the class, "Is this jar full now?" And they say, "Yeah, I would say this looks pretty full." He says one more time. Just a moment. He sprinkles sand in around all the tiny little empty spaces between the rocks and the pebbles in this glass jar. And finally, the jar is completely full. Now, let me ask you this. If you were to reverse that process and fill up that jar with sand and then try to tack on the same amount of pebbles and rocks, it's not going to work. There's not going to be enough space to hold all of that. So that's what we're doing with routines. We're identifying what the rocks are in our business. We're kind of placing the pebbles around that, and then whatever's left over, the sand can fill in the spaces. Okay, so I want you to kind of remember that when you're trying to decide how to spend your time, how to build routines in your business that are actually going to move you closer to your goals. Okay, so there's going to be a couple of routines that we want to make sure that we really nail down to be super productive real estate agents. And the first routine I want to talk about is the morning routine. Now, I know that the idea of a really solid morning routine sounds kind of trendy and maybe a little sexy, but there's actually a lot of science behind setting up your day for success with a strong morning routine. And now, your morning routine doesn't have to look the same as anyone else's. It can be unique to you and your habits and your lifestyle, but here are some tips on building a strong morning routine. Now, I first want to challenge you to do one of the things that I hate most in the entire world, which is wake up a little bit earlier. I know it sounds painful if you're like me and you're not a morning person, especially after doing years in corporate finance and having to wake up for being ready to work at 6:30 in the morning in my corporate finance offices. Like, I'm done with that, but I'm kind of not, right? It's really important to be the person that wakes up a little earlier to make sure that you are going to make the space to get important things done in your morning. So if you're not an early riser already, I want to challenge you to wake up 15 minutes earlier than you normally do, maybe 30 minutes earlier. This really came into focus for me when I became a new mom. So this year I had my first baby. It was a transformative experience for me. It was a humbling experience for me. And now when I know that there are things that I absolutely have to get done, sometimes the only time I can get them done is at 5 in the morning. I have to wake up at 5 in the morning before my infant wakes up to make sure that I'm carving out the space to have a solid solid morning routine to take care of me, to fill up my cup before I then pour into everybody else's day. And so I promise you, you can do 15 minutes earlier, you can do 30 minutes earlier, you can do 5 a.m. if you don't do 5 a.m. now, but figure out what that needs to look like for you and wake up just a bit earlier to give yourself the space for a solid morning routine. And in your morning routine, you should have some rituals. So when you wake up, you want to do a couple of things to really set the tone for the day and address some of the needs that we have. Typically, we have physical needs, we have mental needs, and we have spiritual needs. You want to do one thing that's going to address those three needs. So I have a little list. You don't have to do all of these. You don't have to do really any of these. You can choose your own. But here's a couple of ideas that you can do. Pick 3 of these tasks to fit into your morning ritual. You can do meditation, you can do exercise of any kind. Maybe it's yoga, maybe it's something sweaty, maybe you're taking the dogs for a walk. You can do affirmations, get some sun exposure, so get outside, get some vitamin D. There's a ton of psychological effects backed by science that show how much more productive your day can be when you first thing in the morning get sun exposure. And then also you can do gratitude, you can drink some hot water with tea in the morning. Maybe for you it's prayer. Take a look at this little list that I have here of things that I jotted down. Pick 3, commit to them, and build them into your morning ritual. You should address 15 to 20 minutes in your morning ritual to spend time on each of those 3 topics between your mental, physical, and spiritual needs. Now that probably sounded like quite the list, but as you can see, it's really up to you. You know yourself best, you know your lifestyle best. So after you've been able to really take some time to think about what you want that morning routine look like, commit to it for a couple of days, maybe a week or 2, and see how it feels. You can tweak it from there. This doesn't have to be etched in stone, but the idea is to make sure that you're waking up and giving yourself the time and space to really fuel yourself up for a super productive day ahead. After that morning routine with your powerful morning ritual, you're going to very first tackle the rocks. Okay, so the first thing in the day, those first 2 hours of your working day, you want to dedicate those to the most important thing in your business, which is prospecting and marketing. Now, after your powerful morning routine, we're going to move into your workday hours. So once you begin your workday hours, maybe after you've dropped the kids off to school, after you've done breakfast, whatever you're working, at that point, we want to do a couple of things. The first thing that I suggest doing is nailing down your workday startup ritual. Now, this is actually a task that I learned from Michael Hyatt. He has an incredible book, Free to Focus, that you should definitely check out. I'll actually link to that below. But he talks about starting your day with a workday routine. And I thought that was really perfect for real estate agents who oftentimes need a little more clarity and they need to be reminded of the why behind what we do every day. So here's a workday startup ritual that you may want to try implementing. This doesn't have to be crazy. All I'm asking you to do is this. Number 1, review your goals. So if you want to see my goal setting plan, I'm happy to do a video of that or dive into it deeper. So leave it in the comments if you want to see my process for that. But you should be reviewing your goals, your immediate goals, your annual goals, and your 5 and 10-year goals. So that's number 1 that you should do. Number 2, in this workday startup ritual, you want to review your business plan. Just really quickly take a look at what those important things are that you've committed to doing in your business to help grow this year and continue growing next year. And number 3, review your pipeline opportunities. So this has been the absolute game changer in my business. If you want to talk about valuable systems behind my business, the pipeline report that we've created for our business and our team has been invaluable. Every single day, the first thing that we do before we launch into our power hours, which I'm going to talk about in a sec, is just reviewing our pipeline report, which is any opportunities that we have between now and the next 90 days. So any prospects, any current or future clients that are going to likely transact or possibly transact in the next 90 days, I need to be reminded of who they are, because that's going to help me understand who I need to be reaching out to during my time of prospecting and marketing. So there you have it, a really quick workday startup ritual. You're going to review your goals, review the plan, and review your pipeline opportunities. Next, we're getting into one of the most important parts of your day, which is your power hours. That's what we call it in our business. I know that others in the industry kind of refer to this as well, but it's really the most important couple of hours in your day. You want to do this first thing before you really get lost in email or social media or messing around with your website, whatever the flavor of the moment is. You want to make sure that you're going to get your power hours done. Now, this is a minimum of 2 hours where you are prospecting for new business and marketing your business. The way this looks for me and my team is super simple. It's 1 to 1.5 hours of calls and texts. We are reaching out to our database, the people that we need to call that day or week in our database. We are reaching out to business opportunities. We're reaching out to prospects, current clients. We usually have a list detailed for any given day of who we need to be reaching out to, but typically that needs about an hour to an hour and a half of time to get through those lists of calls and texts for all the people that need to hear from us that day. And then we're finishing with a half hour to 60 minutes of posting to social media with intent. Not scrolling the feed, not getting lost in the Facebook mom groups, or maybe that's just me, but we want to make sure that we are intentionally marketing our business. So this is your time to post to Instagram, pop into the stories and say hello, maybe share a couple of things that are fun and engaging for your audience. Post to LinkedIn, post to Facebook, whatever your system behind social media marketing is for this year, that's your time to really get those important tasks done. Now, we can stop here, and I promise you that the rest of your day is going to be completely amazing because you've already gotten the most important things done. So if at all else, at least make sure that you have your mornings dialed in, but we can always take it a step further. So for me and my business, the late morning and afternoons are reserved for appointments. I'm not leaving the house or the office before, depending on where I'm working that day, before 11 a.m. I'm making sure that I'm scheduling any coffee dates or lunch dates or inspections or appraisals or whatever else is needed of me in the afternoon when at all possible. Very rarely do we make exceptions to this rule. Heading into the evening, we want to just do a little recap of the day to make sure that we are progressing on our goals and carry over any unfinished tasks from that day into the schedule for tomorrow. So after my appointments are done in the afternoon, once I get home, I might check email and do one quick closeout of the inbox. And then I'm going to look at my to-do list and make sure that anything that didn't get done that day is going to be penned into the calendar tomorrow so that I don't let it fall off of the face of the earth. Now that you have an idea on how a really productive day could look for your real estate business, we can create some additional rules to kind of round out a more weekly routine. So for example, I have a couple of hard and fast rules in my business that I implemented years ago that I still stick to today, and I have even more that I'm looking to implement in the next year and beyond. One of those are never taking appointments on Monday afternoons. That's a time for me to really follow up on client work, plan out any marketing for the week that's really important. I just really want to make sure that I have those Monday afternoons available to me to do some of the heavy lifting project-like work that's required in our real estate businesses. On Tuesdays, I'm really making sure to carve out a couple of extra hours to create special content for our business or write our email monthly newsletters. And my goal for 2021 is to kind of do the same on Friday afternoons. So I want to block out Friday afternoons in 2021. That's a big goal of mine, to make sure that I can just have some more family time. Because as I've said before, I'm growing a family, I have a new baby, I have a husband that needs attention. And so I want to make sure that I'm intentionally creating the space to do that and allowing my schedule and my routines to complement that goal of mine. A couple of other rules that you could consider, and one that you really ought to implement, are your time on Sundays to plan out the week. So one of the most powerful things that I began doing about a year and a half ago was actually intentionally planning out my week on Sunday. So on Sunday, Take 30 minutes, maybe 60 minutes tops away from your family in a quiet place to kind of look through your calendar for the week, look through your goals, and figure out where you're going to be needing time spent in order to have a super successful week. If you can spend some time really detailing this out and planning this out on Sundays, you can wake up on Monday morning already having the plan in place, and those Sunday scaries are kind of gone because you know exactly what to expect in the days ahead. Now, the last rule I want to suggest that you really should consider are doing your CEO or admin hours on Fridays. So for me on Fridays, after I do my prospecting hours in the morning, I'm making sure to carve out about 60 minutes for CEO and admin time where I'm updating my metrics. So this might be something new to you if you don't already kind of keep track of the metrics in your business. I know that it's difficult for a lot of real estate agents, so if you struggle with this, it's okay. But at least for myself and the agents who I coach and mentor with in the Market Authority Academy, we have a couple of reports that require to be updated every week and every month, which are really important because it gives us the idea and the perspective of where our business is heading. A lot of real estate agents think that you can't really predict where your business is going to be 90, 180, or so many days in the future, but that's actually totally false. If you're doing the right amount of work and you're tracking that work, you can very clearly see when it's time to pivot or see when it's time to double down and get more business done in order to reach your goals. So for us, this looks like updating our lead tracker, updating our deal tracker, and then updating our CRM and our pipeline report with any new contacts, any new leads, updating the statuses of those leads, and really just making sure that all of the numbers that really matter to the success of our business reflect with accuracy. Now, the goal here is to implement these routines, these rituals, and these rules to create as much uniformity in your week as possible while allowing for your other lifestyle needs. So if you have kids that need to be taken to school or childcare, if you have other hobbies or another part-time job or other commitments, you need to make sure that you're being really proactive in building out your schedule with your real estate business to allow for these while cutting down on as much variance as possible. Your weeks should look pretty consistent and they should not be looking like you recreating the wheel every Monday morning. Now, the last routine I would like you to pay attention to is your monthly routine. I know that especially in a year like 2020, but really any year, it can be really easy to look up and realize oh wow, it's October, where did the rest of the year go? But if you have a solid monthly routine that you are sticking to, you have the opportunity to reset every 30 days to make sure that your business is still on track. So here's what you're gonna do. So once a month, or once a quarter, which is actually what I like to do. I like to monitor this every month, make sure I'm sticking to it, but I'm actually planning this every 3 months out, is I'm planning my monthly activities every 30 days. So on the last week of the month, I make sure that I'm taking some time out of the week to plan marketing activities ahead. Make sure that my email newsletter is scheduled for the month ahead. Make sure that any recurring monthly meetings are scheduled for the month ahead. And just making sure that all those marketing tasks are already solidly blocked off in my calendar so that I don't forget them. I'm also at this time making sure that I'm scheduling any closing gifts or birthday gifts that I need to order. And I'm also going to make sure that I'm updating any of my monthly reports for my metrics that need to be updated as well on a monthly basis to make sure that we are on track with our team's goals. So take some time to look at your business and identify what these tasks need to look like for you and pen them into the calendar. Block off the time and commit to it to make sure that you keep on moving towards your goals. And there you have it, a simple framework that you can apply to your real estate business to have really consistent yet really powerful days, weeks, and months. Now notice I said simple, not easy, okay? I know that it's gonna take a little bit of work and a little bit of fine tuning on your end to make sure that this is something that you can actually commit to, but once you dial this in, this is a powerful way to make sure that you're staying on track with your goals and really propelling yourself in the direction that you want to go. And hey, if you're struggling a little in this area, let me help. You can always go ahead and check out my free masterclass below where I touch on a lot of these strategies. Or if you're ready for a little more hand-holding in this area, you can always apply to my mentorship program, the Market Authority Academy, where I work with you side by side to make sure that you are implementing these A to Z strategies in your business for explosive growth. All of the details and information are below, so check it out. I really hope that you found this helpful, and if you did, let me know in the comments. I look forward to chatting with you more there. And hey, until next time, thank you so much for tuning in. Keep on crushing it.